Hello everyone and welcome. This is Christine with Pattercrafts, and today I'll be making 4 cards using the November 2020 Flavor of the Month card kit. The theme for this month is Simply Sentimental. So I have been having some issues with recording lately, or at least the editing portion, so I have found that right now I have to make my videos beginning to end without any breaks in between. So because of that, I have already trimmed out all of the paper that I decided I was going to use for these 4 cards. For card number 1, this is the only one where there is any video of the inside of the card being done. And for card number 1, I'm just simply stamping the sentiment on the inside that says, just stay positive. And positive is like paw, like a puppy paw. And we do have the adorable little puppy for the front of this card. So collection number 1 is called Puppy Paws. So the paper and the stamp set are both by Scrapping for Less, and they're both called Puppy Paws. So I've gone ahead and trimmed out my pattern paper as shown on sketch number 1. Sketch number 1 does have the dimensions on what to trim on this particular sketch. If you are interested in the card sketches, there is a downloads tab on the Scrapping for Less website, and you can go over there. It does usually take a day or two after the reveal for it to be available, but you can go over there and download it for free, and you can either print it off or save it to your computer and use it as at another time, whatever works for you. So I am just putting down all of the pieces of my pattern paper. I did not mat any of my pieces of pattern paper for this particular one. I don't know why. I generally do, but I just didn't really think about it this time. So we're going to go ahead and start putting this together. Once I put this piece down, I remember, I wanted to put some twine on here. So we're going to grab the twine in just a moment, and I'm going to add it to the top of that piece here. And we're going to go ahead and tie a bow, which I'm pretty successful at fairly quickly today. For those of you that have watched any of my past videos, you know, sometimes for me, tying a bow on my card can be a little bit of a challenge. I just feel like if I'm trying to be conservative of the ribbon or the twine, and it just ends up taking me a long time. This particular one didn't, and I was pretty proud of myself. So anyway, I'm just going to trim the little tail there, or the excess off. Well, we will trim the tails, but I do want to see how they fall on my puppy image. So just finishing up, just tightening that up a little bit and making sure my little bow pieces are even. This is where my image will go when I do decide to trim those little tails down significantly, so they're really tight up against the bow. So I'm going to go ahead and add my puppy piece directly onto my card. Not really going to add a lot of bulk to this card. Generally, I would probably pop that up on some foam tape, but I have an idea of who I'm sending this card to, and since I am going to have to mail it, I want to kind of back off on the bulk a little bit, because sometimes even if your card doesn't or weighs like under the ounce, they sometimes, or at least my post office, will charge me if it doesn't bend very well, because they tell me that it can't go through their machines, which I totally believe them. And so you have to buy that little extra stamp for them. So I'm just trying to keep this one, the bulk down on it, so I don't have to do that. Mostly because that requires me going to the post office to get those little stamps, and because I don't have any extra. I usually just buy like a little book of them. I'd rather play it safe than sorry when my cards tend to be a little on the stiff side, because I really do love foam tape. All right, so I think this card's done, but I decide I'm going to add this black gel pen. I'm going to add some dash lines all around the outside of the image. They are a little wonky. They're not really straight, because the die that I used to trim this piece out leaves a little bit of an indentation. I don't necessarily think that's on purpose. It might be, But my die cutting plates are really, really well loved. And so I think that has something to do with it too. So that little bit of indentation on certain parts of the oval shape kind of made my lines a little wonky, but hey, it's homemade. It's not going to look perfect, even if I want to. So anyway, moving on to card number 2. So just going to quickly throw this stuff together and put it aside. I already have things for card 2 ready to go. So card number 2 is going to be collection number 2. Collection number 2 is called Thanks So Much. So that is what the pattern paper and the stamp set are both called. The sketch I'm using is sketch number 3. Now you can see there's like a little indentation like on sketch number 3 where it's kind of like angled on the inside. I did have a little bit of trouble with that. Not a big deal because the area that I couldn't quite trim it properly, we're going to hide that with the sentiment. And that's the best part about paper crafts. When things don't come out the way we want, we just hide it with other things. So I do have the piece here, and we are going to tie a knot with the white organza ribbon that comes in the collection. I was not going to push my luck with a second bow, and sometimes a knot with this organza ribbon is just as pretty, if not prettier, because unless you're making a real big bow, it just, for me, they always look awkward when I try to do it. So we're just going to add a little knot to the top, which is so pretty. So I'm going to adhere that down directly to the card with just some ATG. The sentiment I'm using says thank you, and it is like a little circle of hearts, and I'm going to say leaves that are around the thank you. I really love the font of this thank you. And so I've stamped that out, and then I used a mini scallop circle die to trim out the piece, which fit perfectly that sentiment. This piece is going to be popped up on one layer of foam tape. And when that's on, we're going to add 3 enamel dots for this collection in the upper right-hand corner. This particular sketch does not have the dimensions, so you just kind of have to play around to decide what you like. And I didn't think to write down what my dimensions were, so I apologize. I won't be able to tell you in case you wanted to know. But sometimes card sketches are like that. They don't tell you the dimensions, but they just give you an idea. That is card number 2. Card number 3 is collection 3, which that collection's name is Family Ties. So the paper and the stamp set, also from Scrapping for Less, are both called Family Ties. I am using sketch number 4 for this one. I really loved the teal and gray and white against that really bright pink. So I'm choosing the bright pink polka dot paper and this really pretty teal and gray and white floral paper. We'll just go ahead and adhere that onto my card base. The sentiment I stamped with some Memento Rosebud ink. It's really bright pink and it kind of matches the polka dots on the paper. So I stamped the sentiment out with that. It says, "Friends are the family we choose." I am popping that up on some foam tape, and then we're going to add some paper flowers. This collection, I do believe, had 6 paper flowers, but I did use some already on my reveal card, and then I'm using the last 3 ones on this card here. They are so pretty. So this foam tape I have is a new brand to me, and I find sometimes taking the adhesive off is a little on the difficult side. So while I struggle there for a minute, we'll just try to fill in the time. I do use the multi-matte medium to adhere these flowers. And I decide I'm not really going to do anything more with this card. The pattern paper are both a little on the busy side. And I think anything else I do, like if I were to add the enamel dots or, you know, anything like that, it's just going to kind of get lost. So we're going to leave this card as is. On the inside, I will end up adding a white mat at some point because I did use the carbon copy card base, and it's like a dark gray, so I think I'm going to need a white mat on the inside. So for the fourth card, we're using collection 4. This is called Wildflowers. The stamp is this sentiment here that says you belong among the wildflowers, and there's 2 flowers. So I went ahead and stamped that on some white cardstock. I thought the white was too much on the card or on the pattern paper, so I did grab some distress ink. I'm trying to think of which one I used. Oh, I used the milled lavender. It ended up being a little bit darker than I thought, but in the end, I don't mind it. So I trimmed the paper down as shown in the sketch, and this sketch is sketch number 2, and there are no dimensions on that one either, so just kind of eyeballing the different pieces. We'll put those together. I do bring in some of the ephemera, which is also by Scrapping for Less, that goes with the pattern paper, using the butterfly that's like a circle, and then I have 2 individual butterflies that I add one above and one below. The circle piece is going to get put on the card with a piece of foam tape, and the 2 other butterflies are just going to be added onto that circle piece with liquid glue, and on the sketch it's kind of like where the flowers are on the sketch, just kind of an idea of where to put those. I, again, don't do anything on the inside of this card. It is a white card base. I may add a strip of pattern paper at some point, but I think I'm going to hold off on that until I use all of the elements from the card kit. So the last card that I'm going to do is going to be using the elements from the banana split pack. So I've gone ahead and used the raspberry cardstock, ran that through with the embossing folder. I'm going to add some ribbon. That purple banner is from the banner die, and the sequins are also from the banana split section. This is a fairly simple card. The sentiment comes from collection 2. It says, "Thank you for being you." Just want to take a couple of moments here to thank Teresa for allowing me to be a member of the design team for Scrapping for Less. For those of you that do not know, or those of you that do know, Teresa is retiring at the end of the year, and Scrapping for Less will be closing the door as she retires. So Teresa, thank you for allowing me to be a part of Scrapping for Less. I am glad that I was able to be a part of the team. Everyone here is amazing. I'm so happy for the friendships. I wish you all the best in retirement. And I know we'll still stay connected through our love of paper crafts and the friendship that we have built over the last couple of years. So this is the last Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month kit. So if you do want that and you're not a subscriber, I suggest you run right over. I don't think there are a lot of extras. Do hop over to the website, because as the stores are going to be closing at the end of December, items are being discounted, and so you might want to stay tuned for some of that. But I wish Teresa all the best. And so anyway, I just wanted to add that little bit to my video. And we are going to finish up this card, and we're just adding this up, the sentiment here, on some foam tape. Now that little banner, I did want to mention, does have an embossing feature. So it does die cut the banner, but it also embosses. I think it's supposed to be some little butterflies or flowers. Again, my die cutting plates are very well loved, so it didn't emboss very well for me, but that's because of my die cutting plates. Going to finish up this card with just a few sequins from the sequin pack. So I'd like to thank you all so very much for joining me today. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more card making videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it so very much. Scrapping for Less is having a reveal all weekend, so there is a blog hop associated with the reveal. I'll leave a link to my blog in the description below. Hop on over, hop along. Don't forget to enter the raffle copter when you get to the Scrapping for Less blog post. Link to the store will also be in the description box. So again, thank you so very much for stopping by. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you again in my next video. Have a great day or night. Bye.